Alice won the hearts of the audience with her touching story of friendship and life in a roadside restaurant. But behind the smiles on screen are real-life tragedies for the talented cast. Some committed suicide at a young age. Others had accidents on the set. Let's discover the truth and respect the legacy they left behind. Linda Lavin as Alice Hyatt. Linda Lavin was born on October 15, 1937 in Portland, Maine. She was 39 when she played Alice Hyatt, a strong and warm-hearted single waitress on the sitcom Alice from 1976 to 1985. A role that made her a beloved figure across America. On screen, Lavin portrayed a woman who fought for her own happiness, but off-screen she faced many difficulties. Outside the Alice spotlight, Linda Lavin went through 3 painful marriages. Her first relationship with actor Ron Leibman lasted more than a decade, but ended in a tearful divorce in 1981, leaving her with a deep emotional wound. Soon after, her second marriage to Alice co-star Kip Niven, which looked like a new home, also fell apart in 1992, followed by rumors of infidelity, controlling behavior, and heated arguments. The long-term stress made Linda short-tempered, which led to fierce conflicts on set, forcing some co-stars like Polly Holliday and Diane Ladd to leave the film because they couldn't handle her pressure. Despite her harsh personality and frequent alienating temper tantrums, Linda Lavin continued to win over audiences on Broadway, most notably her role as a strong-willed mother in Broadway Bound, 1987. Tragedy did not spare her, however, when in 1993, a former housewife sued her for alleged emotional cruelty, which plunged Lavin into a scandal. Later, even after being diagnosed with terminal lung cancer, she threw herself into work to the point of exhaustion, appearing in the play Being the Ricardos, 2021, and continuing to take on new roles, as if trying to fill the void left by her broken marriages. On December 29, 2024, Linda Lavin passed away in Los Angeles at the age of 87 after cardiopulmonary arrest due to complications from cancer. She left behind an estimated net worth of $10 million, much of which was accumulated over 6 decades in the industry with the Linda Lavin Foundation for the Arts. Beth Howland as Vera Louise Gorman. Beth Howland, born May 28, 1941 in Brighton, Massachusetts, made her mark at the age of 35 as Vera Gorman, the clumsy but lovable waitress on the sitcom Alice, 1976-1985, winning over audiences with her innocence and wit. Before that, Howland made her Broadway debut as Amy and Company, 1970, demonstrating her incredible talent and versatility. But behind that bright exterior, Beth Howland's life was filled with hidden sadness and deep inner struggles. From her teenage years, Beth had a rebellious spirit, running away with friends to New York, and immersed herself in the pressures of life as a dancer, which led to a persistent struggle with an eating disorder that she hid for years. The failure of her marriage to a famous musician, which was widely reported in the press, left her heartbroken and losing faith in love. Later, her marriage to Charles Kimbrough seemed perfect, but it was often torn apart by work and long periods apart, leaving Howland's life haunted by loneliness. She also struggled with chronic anxiety, a burden that quietly haunted her for the rest of her life. After the success of Alice, Beth Howland mostly retreated from the limelight, only occasionally taking on small roles in Murder, She Wrote, or Sabrina, the Teenage Witch, which caused public uproar about her private life. When she was diagnosed with lung cancer, Howland steadfastly refused treatment because she did not want to go public with her illness, a decision that caused her condition to deteriorate rapidly. Her family revealed that she had a deep fear of pity and a deep distrust of fame that followed her throughout her career. On December 31, 2015, Beth Howland died at the age of 74, leaving behind a net worth of approximately $3 million from her years on Broadway and television. She asked that the news of her death be kept secret for months as a final act of privacy, bringing to an end a journey that was both brilliant and full of wounds. Philip McKeon as Tommy Hyatt. Philip McKeon, born November 11, 1964 in Westbury, New York, was just 12 years old when he was cast as Tommy Hyatt, Alice's sweet and lovable son. On Alice from 1976 to 1985, a role that became a childhood memory for countless viewers. McKeon quickly became a teen idol, attracting a lot of attention and high expectations, but that attention sowed the seeds of later pain. As a child, Philip bore much of the family's financial burden and was under the strict control of his mother, which stifled his childhood. The demanding filming schedule prevented him from enjoying a normal youth, and unconfirmed rumors of misconduct by a crew member left deep emotional scars. After Alice ended, Philip struggled to escape his child star image, leading to depression, disorientation, and sometimes resorting to stimulants as a way to numb the pain. As an adult, McKeon tried to rebuild his career by venturing into film production with Teresa's Tattoo, 1994, and The Young Unknowns, 2000, and then radio in Texas. But he could not escape the loneliness and nagging memories of his former fame. Despite his outward calmness, Philip bore scars in his heart and lived a quiet, withdrawn life. As his sister Nancy McKeon bitterly put it, "Hollywood broke my brother." On December 10, 2019, Philip McKeon passed away quietly at the age of 55 after a long battle with an undisclosed illness, ending a turbulent and lonely life. He left behind a net worth of around 1.5 million chow, mostly from his years in the film and radio industry, but that net worth could never make up for the lost childhood and loneliness he carried with him for the rest of his life. Marvin Kaplan as Henry Biesmeyer. Marvin Kaplan was born on January 24, 1927 in Brooklyn, New York. He joined Alice at the age of 51, playing Henry Biesmeyer, a gentle, witty, and slightly eccentric telephone repairman who frequented Mel's Diner, providing charming wit throughout the show's 8 seasons. The character helped Kaplan to assert his acting talent in public, but in real life he lived through many difficult and bitter years. As early as the 1960s, Marvin struggled with low self-esteem due to being constantly typecast in supporting roles, which made him insecure and forced him to take prescription drugs to relieve the pressure. He once publicly criticized a famous producer in a drunken attack, and as a result, several studios dropped him from their cast lists, dashing his hopes of stardom. His only marriage, to Rosa Felsenberg, also quickly disintegrated, as his perfectionism and emotional instability stifled the relationship. Kaplan himself was rumored to have had complicated relationships with younger men, but most ended in fights and restraining orders, leaving deep scars of loneliness on his psyche. Kaplan, however, continued to work hard, providing voices in films such as Top Cat, Garfield and Friends, and The Garfield Show, 2011, along with supporting roles in films such as The Great Race, 1965, and Freaky Friday, 1976. To maintain his professional reputation, he also worked tirelessly in the theater industry, but he often hurt his colleagues with harsh words, alienating many of them. Henry's cheerful on-screen persona was in stark contrast to his conflicted off-screen persona, plagued by insecurities and cravings for recognition. In his later years, his life became more closed, quieter, and more gloomy. On August 25, 2016, Marvin Kaplan died in his sleep at the age of 89 of natural causes, ending a passionate but painful artistic journey. He left behind an estimated net worth of around $1 million, mostly from supporting roles and voiceover contracts spanning more than half a century. Martha Raye as Carrie Sharples. Martha Raye was born on August 27, 1916 in Butte, Montana. At the age of 63, she appeared in the comedy Alice as Carrie Sharples, Mel's mother, a strong, outgoing, and lively woman who brought an unforgettable energy to Mel's restaurant. After decades of performing from Broadway to television, this role was the final highlight, showcasing Martha's strong character on and off screen. But behind the glamorous exterior, Martha Raye's personal life was fraught with tragedy. 7 failed marriages, including one in which she was accused of domestic violence, made her easy prey for the tabloids. The talented woman also struggled with undiagnosed bipolar disorder, which led to mental breakdowns and repeated hospitalizations. Although the public only saw her smiling on stage, the pressure to maintain her image pushed Martha into pain medication, which she secretly relied on for years, further deteriorating her physical and mental health. In her later years, Raye also alienated many friends and colleagues with her sharp, conservative statements and willingness to attack those with opposing political views. She lost a lawsuit against CBS over benefits and was embroiled in a series of lawsuits over her property and alimony. Her constant stress and fiery personality overshadowed some of the brilliant legacy she had built up over the decades, as a result of which her colorful performances could not save her public image. On October 19, 1994, Martha Raye died of pneumonia at the age of 78, leaving behind a net worth of only about $500,000 after debts and legal fees. Her funeral was a somber affair, closing a chapter in a life that was both brilliant and deeply saddened by her devotion to her art. Patrick Cranshaw as Andy. Patrick Cranshaw was born on June 17, 1919 in Bartlesville, Oklahoma. At the age of 57, he appeared in Alice as Andy, an older, gentle, and somewhat naive regular who contributed to the warm and humorous atmosphere of Mel's Diner. Despite his supporting role, Cranshaw made an impression with his charming style and simple acting. But behind the spotlight, his life was filled with bitter darkness. Patrick Cranshaw went through a marriage breakdown in the late 1960s after his wife accused him of emotional abuse, leaving a wound that was difficult to heal. Although he continued to work steadily in film and television, he felt a sense of failure as he never achieved real stardom, being labeled as a supporting actor all his life. His seething anger often led him to snap at junior assistants, and he sometimes spread negative rumors about colleagues to protect his position. Regret and jealousy gradually became a psychological burden that followed Cranshaw for many years until the end of his life. Notes found after his death revealed that Cranshaw felt abandoned by Hollywood, unfairly treated and lonely in his old age. Together with the disease, he gradually withdrew, limited communication, and lived as quietly as a shadow. Despite appearing in over 100 films, he could not shake the sadness of a career that was always behind others, and which left him immersed in endless bitterness. Stage fame for Cranshaw was just a fleeting dream that would soon disappear. On December 28, 2005, Patrick Cranshaw died of pneumonia at his home in Texas at the age of 86, leaving behind a modest net worth of around $200,000 from his many small roles over the decades. Kip Niven as Steve Marsh. Kip Niven was born on May 27, 1945 in Kansas City, Missouri. He was 36 when he took over the role of Steve Marsh in Alice in 1981. Steve is a character who brings a new charm to the plot of Mel's Diner and is also Alice's boyfriend in the last seasons. It's a milestone that helped introduce Niven to television audiences after impressive roles in Magnum Force and Emergency. But behind the spotlight, Kip's life is full of suffering and instability. After the tragic death of his first wife, Susan, in a car accident in 1981, he barely spoke of the loss, carrying a silent wound for the rest of his life. When he married Linda Lavin, his Alice co-star, in 1982, they quickly became embroiled in violent feuds, with accusations of controlling behavior and on-set tantrums, leading to a bitter divorce in 1992. The cumulative grief, combined with the pressures of work, sent Niven spiraling into alcoholism, which made him unpredictable, alienating colleagues and missing out on many acting roles. Occasions. Despite building a third home with Beth Reef and having a daughter, Beth's death in 2012 left Kip even more alone, as if he had never truly found peace. On May 6, 2019, Kip Niven died of a heart attack in Kansas City, Missouri, at the age of 73. With a modest net worth of around $500,000 due to a post-Alice career hiatus, he has left behind an image of a once brilliant talent, Doris Roberts as Mona Spivak. Doris Roberts was born on November 4, 1925 in St. Louis, Missouri. She was 56 years old when she took on the role of Mona Spivak, a sharp and sarcastic character in the series Alice. Doris brought a real and strong feel to Mona, reflecting her strong and outgoing personality in real life. The role solidified her status on television before she rose to fame in the movie Everybody Loves Raymond. But behind the scenes, Doris's life was filled with painful conflicts. After a bitter divorce and a period of separation from her son, she devoted herself to her career, ignoring advice to spend more time with her family. Her quiet battle with alcoholism, kept secret for years, made her unpredictable on set, and led to heated arguments with her co-stars over pay and benefits. A former assistant even accused her of emotional abuse, and although the case never went to court, it left a stain on the industry. Doris was never afraid to fight back and speak her mind, but this also made many of her colleagues wary and reluctant to work with her. Her personal life became increasingly difficult as she saw the distance between her and her only son increase, leading to her final years of loneliness, although she maintained a bright image on the outside. This loneliness, combined with pulmonary hypertension, caused her health to deteriorate rapidly. On April 17, 2016, Doris Roberts died in her sleep after suffering a stroke at the age of 90. Leaving behind an estimated $14 million legacy from her iconic roles, most notably in Everybody Loves Raymond. Doris left behind the image of an artistic monument, although she also carried many emotional wounds and unresolved conflicts. Kenneth Mars as Billy Joe. Kenneth Mars was born on April 4, 1935 in Chicago, Illinois. He joined Alice in 1977, aged 41, playing Billy Joe, the jocular and charming sidekick who often helped create a lively atmosphere at Mel's Diner. However, behind the charm on the screen, Kenneth Mars had many insecurities. He was known in the film industry for his sudden outbursts of anger, even locking himself in a prop closet, claiming he needed to focus his emotions. His latent gambling addiction ate away at his finances, leaving Mars close to bankruptcy by the late 1980s. In addition, his alcohol abuse led to sudden outbursts of anger that got him kicked out of several recording projects, tarnishing the professional image he had worked so hard to cultivate. His marriage to Barbara Newborn, although it lasted until the end of his life, was marred by jealousy and extravagance. His declining career and declining health caused Mars to become more withdrawn. Lead roles became less and less frequent, and he appeared in only a few animated projects before retiring due to failing health. On February 12, 2011, Kenneth Mars died of pancreatic cancer at the age of 75, leaving behind an estimated net worth of $1 million, mostly from his voice work and television roles. The stories of the cast of Alice are not only memories of the golden age of American television, but also a reminder that behind the spotlight are lives full of tragedy and glory. Which Alice character is your favorite, and which story moved you the most? Share your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to like and follow for more behind-the-scenes surprises. Charles Levin as Elliot Novak. Charles Levin was born on March 12, 1949 in Chicago. At the age of 34, he played Elliot Novak, the loyal and tender husband of the waitress Vera in the last season, bringing a touch of freshness to Mel's restaurant. Before that, Levin was also known for many charming and memorable supporting roles, portraying a unique, witty, and sincere character. But behind that picture, his life was full of deep tragedy. Charles Levin's personal life gradually collapsed after he lost his partner to complications from AIDS in the late 1980s, a terrible mental shock he was unable to overcome. Since then, Levin has lived a closed life, often haunted by paranoid thoughts and the belief that someone is watching and controlling him, which has seriously damaged his relationships with friends and colleagues. Because of this, his career also fell because he only got small supporting roles and lost the opportunity to show his talent, which deeply damaged his self-confidence. Many believe that loneliness and insecurity became the darkness that followed him for the rest of his life. Towards the end of his life, Levin left the spotlight to live as a hermit in Oregon, looking for some peace, but instead he sank deeper into a dead end of loneliness and anxiety. When moving to a new home in 2019, his car got stuck on a remote forest road. Desperate for a way out, he slipped and fell off a steep cliff, killing himself, while his loyal dog starved to death in the car. Levin's decomposed body was not found for several days, which caused grief for the fate of the once brilliant artist who ended up in cruel solitude. Charles Levin passed away on June 28, 2019, at the age of 70, leaving behind a modest net worth of around 300,000 Chiwu. Due to years of inconsistent income and high living expenses. Eileen Heckart as Rose Hyatt. Eileen Heckart was born on March 29, 1919 in Columbus, Ohio. At the age of 57, she appeared in Alice as Alice's mother, Rose Hyatt, portraying a strong, experienced, but also sharp and outspoken woman. The role reflected Heckart's life, which was always intertwined with artistic passion and personal pain. Although she was respected, many of her colleagues feared her because of her fiery temper. Eileen's childhood was full of trauma after being abandoned by her father and raised by an alcoholic mother, leaving painful memories that followed her even after she became famous. That difficult past shaped her remarkable acting talent, but also made her a tough person, known for throwing scripts during rehearsals or openly yelling at directors if she felt slighted. Her marriage to Jack Yankee, despite decades, was not without ups and downs, with rumors of separation and even infidelity. This made Heckart even more lonely and insecure. Her biggest pain was the years of her youngest son's drug addiction, which made her feel ashamed of being a failure as a mother, and often blamed herself in rare interviews. Overwhelmed by the pressure, Heckart turned to cigarettes as a way to relieve herself, sometimes smoking up to 2 packs a day despite doctors' warnings. She immersed herself in endless work, using art to fill her emotional void, but this only accelerated her deteriorating health. On December 31, 2001, Eileen Heckart died at her home in Connecticut of lung cancer at the age of 82. Her net worth is estimated to be around $2 million, mostly thanks to her illustrious acting and film career.